You ever feel like you're just running,
Yeah.
constantly busy, plugged in all the time, but still there's this little voice, right, whispering that something important, something really meaningful is missing. As a feeling I think a lot of us know, especially now. So today we're doing a deep dive. We want to help quiet that noise, help you find some genuine peace, some real purpose. And we're drawing on the wisdom from Jay Shetty's book, Think Like a Monk. Now, this isn't about, heading off to a monastery or anything. It's about practical steps, things you can actually do to bring that sort of mukha mindset into your everyday life, right where you are now.
Exactly. That's really our mission here, to take these core ideas the author learned as a monk and, well, show you how they apply to our lives, our modern challenges. He lays out this really helpful three-stage framework. First is let go. That's about stripping away all the outside noise, the internal stuff, the fears holding you back, clearing the decks, basically. Then stage two is grow. This is where you actively reshape things, finding your purpose, building confidence, living with intention. And finally, there's give, looking beyond yourself, expanding gratitude, deepening relationships. It's a whole journey.
And the author's own story of how this started is just wow. He talks about hearing this monk speak, an Indian monk talking about selfless sacrifice.
Hmm.
And this phrase, planting trees under whose shade we did not plan to sit. Apparently that just hit him, like really hit him. Sparked something unexpected and led him down this completely radical path. I mean, imagine telling your friends and family that. Okay, so let's start there. Let's unpack this first stage. Let go. It sounds simple, maybe, but what are we actually letting go of? And why is that the absolute first step?
Right. It's fundamental because it's like a cleanse. It makes space for everything else, for the growth. We're talking about letting go of external pressures, those internal roadblocks, and those fears that just kind of sit there. Anchors, really.
It's wild how much we tie our self-worth to what other people think, isn't it?
Mhm.
He uses that great example from West Side Story, Maria singing I Feel Pretty right after a boy likes her. Her whole world shifts just based on that one bit of external validation.
Oh, totally. It's such a common trap. We chase money or change how we look, maybe even what we say we believe,
Mm.
often just to impress someone else, or fit some ideal. Think about Daniel Day-Lewis as Bill the Butcher. Extreme, yeah, but he trained as a butcher, kept the accent up all the time, wore the 19th century clothes around Rome. It just shows how deep we can go into these external roles. Sometimes we lose ourselves in them.
That's a vivid picture. And this is where he brings in the dust on the mirror idea. I found this really compelling. He's in this dusty room at the ashram, and a senior monk just wipes a mirror. Poof! Dust everywhere, right in his face. Can't see his reflection at all.
Yeah, it's a brilliant illustration of this ancient concept, Sito Darpana Marjanam, literally clearing the impure mirror of the mind, like
Yeah.
wiping steam off the bathroom mirror, right? So you can actually see yourself. For monks, it was giving up stuff or being silent, getting rid of distractions. The author found living with just the essentials was, well, an enlightenment of letting go. The core idea. When you're buried under too much stuff, mental or physical, you lose sight of what's really important, who you really are.
Okay, so for you listening,
Mm-hmm.
how does this work in practice? With all the ads, social media, everyone telling us what we should want, how do you find your actual values in all that noise?
Well, often we just soak them up, don't we, from parents, school, society, without even realizing it. The book suggests this exercise. Try this. Where did your values come from? You list your values, then really try to trace them back. Where did each one come from? And then ask the tough question, is this genuinely true to me? You have to be like an archaeologist digging into your own beliefs. Are they yours or just inherited?
And it's funny how our time and money are like little truth serums for our values. He gives these examples, right? 60 minutes watching TV just flies by, but maybe an hour having lunch with family feels like forever. Or that daily coffee, nearly $1,500 a year, feels essential. But spending a bit more on healthy food is too expensive. Or scrolling social media for 15 minutes is me time. But 15 minutes of meditation, no time. These little choices reveal a lot.
And that brings us to what he calls the lower values, things like greed, lust, anger, ego, illusion, envy. They can easily creep in and take over if we let them. It's such a contrast to nature, isn't it? Leaves grow, then fall. Animals shed their skins. Nature gets letting go. It knows that release creates space, stillness. We fight it so much.
Speaking of fighting things,
Okay.
let's dig into those internal obstacles. Our own minds getting in the way. Starting with negativity. You hear it all the time. Negativity is contagious.
Oh, it really is. Humans are wired to fit in. We like agreement, like-mindedness, which means it's easy to fall into a culture of complaint.
Mm.
Remember that ash line experiment? People literally changed what they saw to match the group, even when the group was obviously wrong. That's how strong the pull is.
So to fight that, the monks had this challenge. Try not to complain, compare, or criticize for a whole week, and you track your slip-ups. The goal is just to see the number go down each day. Simple, but it really makes you aware.
Absolutely. And it pushes you towards mindful communication. So instead of just complaining to your friend that your partner is late again, you learn to say directly, mindfully, hey, when you come home later than you said, it makes me feel whatever. Could you maybe text me if you know you're running late? It turns event into something productive, a request.
Okay, but maybe the biggest internal hurdle, and Buddha talked about this a lot, is fear. That quote is powerful. Fear does not prevent death. It prevents life.
And the author uses the story of Arjuna in the Mahabharata, this great warrior just dropping his bow before the battle, frozen. Why? Because he was terrified for his family, his friends who were on both sides. Fear can paralyze anyone, even the strongest.
He also shared that really personal story from his meditation, uncovering his own deep fears, tracing them back. Childhood exam stress, worrying about his parents judging him, trying to fix his parents' marriage, and boom, the root fear hits him, not making my parents happy. He said it was like a full-body aha moment, like finally getting air after being underwater.
And what's fascinating is how challenges actually make us stronger. Like those trees in Biosphere 2. No wind, they grew weak bark, shallow roots. They needed the stress. Contrast that with Alex Honnold climbing El Capitan free solo. He didn't eliminate fear, he used it. He practiced every move over and over, expanding his comfort zone until fear became, well, productive. Fuel for preparation.
Yeah, it reminds me of that story about the lawyer afraid to switch careers. He kept saying, what if I jump and there's nothing? Until she realized the real fear wasn't just failing, it was being seen as less than intelligent and capable. Just naming it, acknowledging it. That was the first step to dealing with it.
Exactly, because these fear patterns run deep, and often they're tangled up with attachment, right? Our need to own things, control outcomes. The monk mindset, though, practices detachment, realizing everything, our house, our job, even our family in sense, is borrowed, temporary, accepting that impermanence doesn't make you uncaring. Actually, it can bring this incredible sense of freedom from fear.
Okay, that's the deep stuff. But what about those everyday fears? Like your friend loses their job, instantly panics, starts saying they'll never find another one.
Yeah.
How do you handle that kind of immediate fear?
In those moments, the practice is to try and see the whole story, not just this one bad event. So when your friend does get a new job, help them look back. See how past setbacks, maybe failed interviews, were actually necessary steps that led them here. Doing this reflection helps reprogram how we see challenges. They become stepping stones, not just roadblocks, and that shrinks the fear.
That really drives home the point, doesn't it? When we deny fear, our problems follow us. It's facing it that builds strength. Like Arjuna in the Bhagavad Gita. He didn't stay paralyzed. He faced his fear, understood it, and then acted. As Chuck Palahniuk wrote, what you run from only stays with you longer.
Precisely. So if we can reclassify fear, see it not as just bad, but maybe as a neutral signal, or even an opportunity for growth, then we can start to look past all the drama, the stories our minds create, and see what's actually real. Find the truths that can empower us, not paralyze us.
All right, so we've done some clearing out with let go, made some space. Now we move into the grow stage.
Yeah.
This feels more active, right? About intentionally shaping your life, finding purpose, building that inner strength. Like, okay, the ground is prepped, now let's plant something.
That's a great way to put it. And it really starts with this concept of dharma. The author links it to the idea that when you protect your dharma protects you. You know, the strict practices in the monastery, the asceticism, that wasn't the end goal. It was a tool to open the mind, like rotating chores, cooking, cleaning, gardening, even looking after cows. It wasn't about becoming a great cook or gardener. It was about willingness, flexibility, seeing all work as valuable, interconnected.
Which kind of pushes back against that common phrase, you can be anything you want to be. It sounds nice, but maybe isn't quite true. The author offers something more grounded. You can't be anything you want, but you can be everything you are. Your dharma isn't hidden treasure you have to find. It's already there, like woven into you.
Yeah, and to help tap into that, he gives us the quadrant of potential exercise. You ask 4 questions about an activity. Do I like it? Do I love it? Am I good at it? And, crucially, do others need and appreciate it? This helps you connect with your varna, your natural passion and skills. And he adds layers like the gunas qualities, like ignorance, passion, or goodness that influence how you use your skills. It's about understanding not just what you do, but how and why.
Reminds me of his story about public speaking. Hating it at first. Said it was worse than mucking out the cow stalls. But he found his way by focusing on what he was genuinely passionate about, teaching mindfulness. And eventually he's speaking to huge crowds. He tapped into his why.
And another really useful tool is the reflected best self exercise. Ask people who know you well, different kinds of people, to tell you about a time they saw you at your absolute best. Then you look for patterns in what they say, what strengths keep showing up, and then you test it. Say you think your Varna involves photography. Why do you enjoy it? Is it capturing family moments, documenting struggles, the tech side? Getting specific opens up new ways to use that passion.
And the bottom line here is pretty stark. Dharma is your responsibility. You can't just sit back and wait for your boss or circumstances to line things up for you. It's on you to actively arrange your life so you can live your purpose.
Okay, so intention. We all have these pictures in our heads, right? The
Yeah.
ideal life, the big goals. But he asks this great question. Is happiness even the right target?
He talks about four main motivators:
Mm.
fear, desire, duty, and love. Fear, as we discussed, just doesn't work long term. It paralyzes. Desire often gets focused on the material stuff, the million-dollar home, financial freedom, which isn't necessarily bad, but yeah. And this is where that research is so surprising. The Princeton study, the World Happiness Report. Money just doesn't buy more happiness after your basic needs are met. Around 75K a year, they said. And happiness in the U.S. has actually gone down since the 70s, even though incomes went up. Why? Things like less trust, weaker social connections. Tells you something about where real happiness comes from.
Right. So we need to be clear on the difference. Success is earning money. Happiness is feeling good about yourself, having close relationships, making the world a better place. And being honest about your why is critical. He says the worst thing you can do is pretend to yourself that you're acting out of service when all you want is material success. That internal conflict just eats away at you.
I love this practical tip. Try this. Add to-bes to your to-dos. So if your goal is financial freedom, your to-do list is the what. Your to-be list is the how, like to be disciplined, focused, passionate, or for a better relationship, to be more calm, understanding, inquisitive. It shifts the focus to who you need to become.
Exactly. And having that clear sense of why you're doing something builds incredible resilience. When you hit a setback, it doesn't mean you're a failure. It just means you need to find another path towards something you genuinely believe is worthwhile. That's where real, lasting satisfaction comes from, believing in the value of the effort itself.
Thinking about making these changes, let's talk routines, especially the morning. For so many of us, it's just bam, alarm goes off, phone comes on, world rushes in. How do we reclaim that?
Well, monks start their day with intention, right? And they work to keep that going. His core advice is pretty simple but powerful. Wake up 1 hour earlier because, as he says, having just enough time means not having enough time. That constant rushing creates stress. That extra hour, that's your space.
And he gives us that acronym to structure it, TIME, thankfulness, insight, meditation, exercise, a framework for that hour.
And crucially, remember, the morning is defined by the evening. You can't just expect to wake up refreshed and intentional if you didn't set yourself up for it the night before. Good sleep, winding down, it's all connected.
He also really hammers home the importance of just paying attention, being present. That UCLA study is wild. Only 24% of people knew where the nearest fire extinguisher was,
Yeah.
even if it was right outside their office. Shows how much we just don't see what's around us.
Which leads to that exercise. Try this. Same old, same new. On your commute, or even just walking around your house, actively look for one new thing you haven't noticed before, or strike up a brief conversation with someone you see every day but never talk to. It's about shifting from just seeing to actually noticing, waking up your awareness.
So how does this apply to you and your own mind wandering? He makes this point about selective presence, like we're totally focused on our favorite TV show, but drift off during a work meeting. The problem is, if you let your mind wander sometimes, it learns to wander all the time. If you allow yourself to daydream, you will always be distracted. Your focus muscle gets weak.
Right, and consistency helps train it. Doing things in the same location and time makes habits stick. And then there's single tasking. Research shows hardly anyone, like 2%, can actually multitask effectively. For the rest of us, it just fragments our attention, makes us less focused overall. Monks do everything immersively, even eating lunch silently. The point isn't just silence, it's full engagement in one thing.
Now, obviously, we don't all live in an ashram with hours for silent lunch, but the principle holds, right? The greater your investment, the greater your return. And routines, counterintuitively, don't stifle creativity. They free up mental energy for creativity because you're not constantly deciding the small stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've tackled the outside world, the routines. Now, the really tricky part, the noise inside our heads. He calls it the jungle of the untrained mind. swinging from thought to thought like a monkey.
Yeah, the Dhammapada says the wise shape their minds, like farmers guide water or carpenters shape wood. It's not passive. Your mind, he says, is the filter, judge, and director of all our experiences. It can be your best friend or your worst enemy.
This is where that should self versus want self thing comes in,
Yeah.
right? Classic procrastination fuel. I should start that report, but I want to watch the game. And that research about feeling physically heavier after recalling something unethical, it's like our internal conflicts literally weigh us down.
The author's very open about his own struggles before becoming a monk. Holding himself back, bad habits, comparing himself to others, always needing to be right instead of kind. Iswaran has that image of living in a tiny, private, shell-bound realm. And Buddha described enlightenment as feeling like a chick breaking out of its shell, liberation from those mental limits.
So how do we break out? He suggests, try this. Wake up the subconscious. Just take out a piece of paper and write down those negative, nagging thoughts. You're not good enough. You'll probably fail. Seeing them written down, he says, is like realizing the charioteer is asleep at the wheel. It gives you distance, perspective.
And the most crucial realization, you are not your thoughts. Those negative messages, usually from past hurts, they'll keep playing until you consciously rewire your mindset. So instead of beating yourself up, reframe it as progress. Not, I'm terrible at this, but I'm working on it. I'm improving. Talk to that inner critic like a child who needs reassurance, then focus on the steps forward.
He talks about austerities, too. It sounds intense, like a detachment boot camp. He fasted, right? And found it made him physically tired, but mentally stronger, more flexible.
Yeah, and his 30 days of silence. He said his mind just went crazy at first, full of chatter. That's when he started repeating the mantra, make your mind your friend. Austerities are about learning to manage the senses' demands. He even used meditating in the cold to practice going inward, directing his attention away from physical discomfort. Discomfort becomes a tool, not just an enemy.
So thinking about your own life, what attachments stand out for you? Maybe technology, sugar, that extra glass of wine. He offers that spot, stop, swap method. First, SBOT when the urge hits. Then S stop P and think, what do I really want to do here? What could I add or subtract? Then swap in a different behavior. It's a structured way to break the cycle, which naturally leads to the ego, doesn't it? How much of our behavior, how we present ourselves is just ego. He introduces the Sanskrit word vinayam, humility. Modesty is the antidote.
Right. The Bhagavad Gita distinguishes between the real ego, our true self, and the false ego. That's the identity we build to feel important. Like wearing armor you think is steel, but it's just paper. And the Samaveda warns, pride of wealth destroys wealth, pride of strength destroys strength, pride of knowledge destroys knowledge. The false ego undermines the very thing it boasts about.
The ego is a mask. That really resonates. Presenting this polished, maybe slightly dishonest version of ourselves to seem smarter or more successful. That 4th century monk, Evagrius Ponticus, called pride the cause of the most damaging fall for the soul. Strong words.
And success can feed it, can't it? We start expecting special treatment. But as the author says, nobody deserves a better seat in the theater of life. He contrasts the arrogant ego demanding respect versus the humble worker who just naturally inspires it through their actions. Humility has real power.
You see that power in action sometimes.
Yeah.
Like the Love Has No Labels campaign example. 2 pastors from very different backgrounds, Reverend Pierce and Pastor Hunter, coming together after the Pulse shooting. Their shared humanity, their desire to help, was bigger than any theological differences or ego. Just making a difference.
And that funny story about the 4 silent monks, each one breaks the silence to tell the other one off for breaking the silence. It perfectly captures how judgment backfires. It almost always backfires on us. The ego wants to be right, but open-mindedness is where learning happens.
And this isn't just personal. Institutional ego happens too. Governments, companies, schools, getting stuck in, we've always done it this way. Blockbuster turning down Netflix back in 2000 is the classic example, right? The ego of past success blinded them.
Totally. Because the ego isolates us. Think of that Roman general with the slave whispering, "Remember, you are a man." A reminder of basic humanity amidst the glory. Robert Downey Jr.'s modern version.
At home, it's just, did you let the dog out? Even Iron Man takes out the trash. It grounds you. Because that false self, the ego that builds you up, it can tear you down just as easily. And if you don't work on breaking it down gently, life will break it for you.
So how do you practice humility? He talks about the chores at the ashram. Washing giant pots, pulling weeds, cleaning toilets. Stuff he initially found annoying, felt like a waste of his expertise. But he learned some tasks build skills, others build character. And those brainless activities actually freed up mental space for thinking. Humility clears the clutter.
And he offers practical ways to transform ego in daily life. Responding to insults. Observe the feeling. Respond to the situation, not the attack. Compliments. Be grateful for whoever taught you that skill. Share the credit. Arguments. Recognize the ego's need to be right. Ask yourself, do I want to be right or do I want to move forward? It's interesting that when he left the ashram, he felt his training hadn't just been for the ashram. It had prepared him for the louder, more complicated world. The ashram was school. Regular life was the exam. He found his dharma even in cleaning his house, seeing the sacred everywhere.
And real greatness, he argues, isn't about fame or followers, it's about depth. Bruce Lee's quote, "I fear not the man who has practiced 10,000 kicks once, but I fear the man who has practiced one kick 10,000 times." Mastery, focus, aiming beyond ourselves towards community, the planet that keeps us humble. Like Kailash Satyarthi, the Nobel winner, getting the prize and still wondering, have I done enough? That's true greatness asking the question.
Okay, we've cleared the path, let go, built strength, grow. Now
Right.
the final stage, give, looking outward, expanding gratitude, deepening relationships.
Jesus. And the core idea is every person is a world to explore. He uses these beautiful images, blue zones where community leads to longer lives, and redwood trees weaving their shallow roots together for strength. It highlights how vital connection and interdependence really are for resilience, for thriving.
But let's be real, people let us down sometimes. Trust gets broken. How do you build strong relationships when other people's behavior is always out of our control?
It's tough. Dr. DePaula's research is pretty sobering, people lying in maybe a fifth of their interactions, maybe more for college students. And when lies surface, the betrayal causes way more damage than just being honest up front would have. The takeaway isn't to be cynical, but to focus on your own integrity. You can choose honesty.
He talks about that pyramid of trust, neutral, contractual, mutual, pure, and how we often make the mistake of bumping people up the pyramid too fast, promoting people without reason. No. We assume they value what we value, want what we want. We project ourselves onto them instead of seeing who they really are.
Exactly. Building that mutual trust takes time, patience, and really understanding that others see the world differently. The key is observation. Watch their actions, listen to their words over time, and accept them as they are, not as you wish they were. Let trust grow organically. Don't force it.
And attraction. It's interesting, isn't it? Looks, success, smarts. They create that spark, that chemistry. But he says they don't correlate with long-term fortifying relationships. Monks see the body as just a vessel, possessions as irrelevant to character. Real connection, lasting connection, comes from deeper stuff, emotional, spiritual resonance.
And the way monks show love, it's all about presence and attention, which he calls energy management, not time management. That's a key phrase. Like, okay, you have it together every night, great, but what is the quality of the conversation? Are you really there? Phone away, listening, asking follow-up questions. That's where the connection happens. Full engagement.
He introduces these 6 loving exchanges from an old text, the Upadhyaya, ways to build relationships through generosity and service. Giving, receiving gifts, sharing, receiving meals, giving, receiving questions, shared, receiving secrets, giving, receiving prayers, blessings, and giving, receiving offerings.
And it's the intention that matters most. Gifts. Not just buying something, but maybe finding out their favorite flower months ahead. Or offering help like cleaning their car. Meals. Mindful preparation, savoring together, questions, deep listening, secrets, building vulnerability, blessings, genuine well wishes, offerings, giving your best effort. It's all about mindful, intentional connection.
So for you listening, what does this mean day to day? Direct communication is key. He suggests, try this. Ask for what you want. Actually, tell the important people in your life how you like to receive love. Don't make them guess. Clarity builds connection. Assumption breeds resentment.
And being ready for love is huge. That Harvard Grant study, Is Amazing Love, was the biggest predictor of life quality. But as the author says, until you understand yourself, you won't be ready for love. If you keep dating the same wrong type, that's a clue that we have work to do on our own stuff, our unresolved issues. It's usually about us, not just them.
And keeping love alive. It's not about desperately trying to recapture the honeymoon phase. That's impossible. It's about creating new memories with energy and openness. Letting the relationship evolve, not trying to freeze it in the past.
He makes a sharp distinction between attachment and real love. Quoting Jetsunma Tenzin Palmer, "The more we grasp, the more we are afraid to lose. Then if we do lose, we are going to suffer." Clinging to the wrong person or an old version of a relationship causes more pain than letting go. After a breakup, No rebound dating. Instead, take some time to get to know yourself better, build your self-esteem, invest in your growth. Use that spot, stop, swap to break old patterns.
Which leads us perfectly to what he calls the most important lesson he learned, the one he carries daily. Plant trees under whose shade you do not plan to sit. This idea of selfless service.
The Bhagavad Gita calls it sattvic giving. Giving simply because it is right to give without thought of return. For the monks, it was everything from small things, helping someone wake up on time, saving food, to bigger acts. Giving purely without expecting anything back.
And again, here's that counterintuitive research. Berkeley, that 2011 survey, people with less money often give a higher percentage of it away. Like the lowest income group giving 3% to charity, the highest giving 1%. Generosity isn't about how much you have, it's about spirit.
And that question, is service selfish if it feels good? He says, of course not. That story of the dad bringing his kids to serve meals with Anamrita, it shows the mutual benefits. The kids learned empathy, felt joy. That joy isn't selfish. It's a natural outcome of connecting and contributing.
And critically, serve within your dharma. You don't need to quit your job and join the Peace Corps unless that is your dharma. A musician serves through music. A coder serves through code. An entrepreneur serves through their business. It's about the spirit in which you do the same work, bringing that selfless intention to what you already do.
He suggests try this, ways to serve. Just look around your daily life. Schools, charities, helping a neighbor, mentoring someone. Opportunities are everywhere. The key. Pick 3 that genuinely spark your interest. Then just reach out to one, take that first small step. That's usually the biggest hurdle.
He talks about Kailash Satyarthi again, the Nobel winner fighting child labor. His message, it's not just tech or money that will end it. It's the globalization of compassion. Change starts in the heart.
And the author shares his own journey. From cooking for kids at the ashram to using his platform to raise huge amounts for Satyarthi's foundation, for Pencils of Promise. But the feeling, he says, the sense of meaning and gratitude stayed the same. The scale changed, but the core joy of service remained.
Wow, what a journey we've covered in this deep dive. Learning to let go of all that baggage, internal and external. Then how to grow, finding purpose, strengthening the mind. And finally, how to give, deepening connections and serving others.
Yeah, and it's so important to remember there's no universal plan here. It's not a rigid formula. It's about training your mind to react, respond, and commit in ways that align with your values. And be kind to yourself. Flexibility, self-compassion. They're crucial. You will slip up, you'll fail. Don't judge the process, don't judge yourself. Just notice, recover, and gently come back to your focus. It's always a practice.
So maybe as you go through your day today, you could set a small intention. Just ask yourself, what is my intention for today? Maybe it's just to be kind or to be focused or to be confident. And maybe try incorporating some affirmations like, I am happy about who I am becoming. I am open to all opportunities and possibilities. I am worthy of real love. I am ready to serve with all I have.
And a really beautiful way to wrap up any practice or just your day is that Sanskrit mantra, Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu, which means, roughly, may all beings everywhere be happy and free, and may the thoughts, words, and actions of my own life contribute in some way to that happiness and freedom for all. It connects your journey to everyone else's.
There's that lovely story he tells at the end. A young monk complaining he's terrible at meditating, just feels fidgety or sleepy, and his teacher just smiles and says, keep going. That's it. It's a perfect reminder, isn't it? This is ongoing work. Patience. Consistency. It's about showing up, not instant perfection.
And maybe a final thought to leave you with. Knowing we'll die someday isn't morbid. It actually compels us to value the time we do have, to use our energy wisely. Life's too short to drift without purpose, right? To miss the chance to serve, to let our dreams just fade away. So above all, maybe the goal is simple. Leave people and places better and happier than you found them.